Hey everybody, thanks for coming back today. Hopefully you have had a chance to check out my basics of the 4-out, 1-in offense. If you haven't yet, I suggest watching that video first before checking out this video, which is going to be called the first progression of the 4-out, 1-in offense. The basic move that we want to do more often than not. We call this pass, cut, and fill. All right, so what does that mean? That means we're going to be passing, and then after we pass, we're going to cut to the hoop, and after we cut, someone else will fill our spot, and we will fill another spot. Okay, so a couple general rules before I show the movements here. One, if the post player flashes towards a low block, and there's a slot to wing pass, the slot player must always cut behind the post player. Okay, so when we're cutting, we don't want to go to the same spot. We don't have two offensive players right next to each other where one defender can guard both. We'll keep that in mind as we go through these progressions here. Another thing here, players must always cut through all the way to under the hoop. All right, you don't just cut for a little bit and then go back out. Go all the way under the hoop, finish it, even if you're not getting the ball. All right, what that'll help do is that'll help create more spacing. Okay. And lastly, before we start looking at these here, a perimeter player can post up for about 2 seconds under the basket. So if you cut to the basket and you feel like you've got a size advantage and you could post up, go ahead and stop under the basket. Go ahead and stop on one of the blocks. Try to post up. If we can't get you the ball, count to 2 in your head and get out of there. Okay, we don't want anyone standing down there for a long time. Get back to our spots outside the arc and set back up in our 4-out, 1-in offense. Okay. All right, so the two main things here before we look at our passes. Every time you pass the ball, you want to cut. Okay, you want to pass it, then you cut. And every time you do cut, all other players must fill towards the basketball. All right, there are 3 types of passes that will happen in this progression. Let's take a look at all 3 one at a time. All right. So here we have our first pass. We're going to take a look at what happens if one passes it to the wing. All right, so one is going to pass the basketball here to 3. All right, 5, we're going to stay right where you are because we're away from the basketball as far as we can. That's what we want. All right, 1 is going to cut, obviously. We want to cut ball side. What does that mean? You don't want to go this way around your defender, okay? We want to cut ball side, so you want to cut this way around your defender. And you're going to go all the way to the hoop. Whether you get the ball or not, you're going to go all the way to the hoop, okay? As that's happening, 2, you're going to slide over here, and 4, you're going to slide over here, so that once 1 finishes his cut, if he does not get the ball, he's going to continue through on over here. And we end up right back in our 4-out, 1-in offense, okay? Now, when I say 2 and 4, you're going to slide up to those spots. We're going to do that with purpose, okay? So if I go back here, 2 back in the spot, you're not just going to lightly jog over here, right? You're going to do one of the 2 cuts we talked about in our last video. You're either going to V-cut in and out, or if your defender's off, you're going to blast cut right to the ball, okay? Because we want to keep this ball moving, we want to keep the defenders on their toes. So that is called a slot to wing pass. And obviously the same thing can happen on the other side. So let's say the ball's over here. So 5 would be over here then. All right, so 4 is going to pass it to a wing here at 1. 4 is going to cut ball side under the hoop. And as that's happening, 2 is going to cut over. 3 is going to cut up. And 4 is going to continue his route under the basket to the other opposite wing. All right, so that's a slot to wing pass, and that's the progression we're going to do for that. Okay, and that happens at any point we pass it. That's something we can do, pass, cut, and fill, just like that. All right, what happens if the ball is already at the wing, and we're going to pass to the slot? Now, this one's a lot easier here. So let's say 1's at the ball, we're going to pass to 2. All right, 1, you're going to cut ball side, obviously, right here. But if you don't get the ball, we're not going to want to continue through because 3 and 4 have nowhere to go. And we don't want 2 dribbling into the corner. That's the last thing we want. Okay, so 1, you're going to cut in, and then you're going to circle right back out to go right back to your spot. Okay, now 2 has the option. He can pass back to 1, or he can pass to 3, whoever gets open first there. Or obviously 5, if he can cut to the free throw line or seal his defender. All right, same thing on the other side. So let's say 4 has the ball over here. Okay, 4 passes to 3. 4 is going to cut ball side in, and if he does not get the ball, we're going to cut right back out set back up in our offense. Okay? The last type of pass we can see, so we saw a slot to wing, we saw a wing to slot. The last one we're going to do here is a slot to slot pass. All right, so let's say we have the ball here with the 3. 3 is going to pass it over to 2, and 3 is going to cut ball side right down the middle of the lane. Okay? Now as that happens, 5, see what happens here, the ball switched sides, right? So after that pass comes over, you're going to switch sides as well, trying to bring this defender with you. So when 3 cuts ball side, this lane is wide open here. That's what we want to happen. Okay? Now, if he doesn't get the ball, that's going to happen. 4, you're going to cut to the slot up here. Probably most likely be a blast cut, but if your D is overplaying you, remember to V cut. And then 3, you're going to fill back out to that other wing. Same thing on the other side, right? So we have 2. We have 2 passes the ball with a 4 here. 5 sees that and is going to switch blocks right away to open up that lane. 2 is going to cut hard down the lane here looking for the pass. If it doesn't happen, that's fine. 1, fill the slot, and 2, come on out back to the other wing. All right, that's it for our first progression, our second video in this series. Again, this progression was called pass, cut, and fill, which is the basics of our offense. Okay, we can run just pass, cut, and fill, and we would be fine, probably get a lot of good looks at the hoop. Okay, come back next time, we're going to look at our second progression, which is going to be back cuts. When and how to do back cuts, and then how to fill in from there.